Get ready for an unfair advantage over your competition. This is the Sales Edge podcast, where globally recognized sales expert and trainer Joe Pici helps you sharpen your skills for booking more appointments and closing more deals. And now, here's your host, Joe Pici.
Hey team, this is Joe Pici of the Sales Edge. We're thanking you for coming back, your loyalty, your consistency to help us grow this podcast to reach more people. Today is podcast number 67. It's hard to believe, but we're at 67 already, and we're excited about that. That's only because of you and your loyalty and your consistency of tuning us in. You know, the Sales Ed podcast is sponsored by Pici and Pici, a speaking, coaching, training, consulting company, which specializes in helping their companies get to the next level, get in front of their target market, and make sure their strategies, their messagings, their approaches are so congruent and so specific that they can consistently grow their client base. You know, a little favor, if you wouldn't mind, said this, we're trying to help people understand that Global Gurus had a glitch. And if you had a problem voting, please go back on the globalgurus.org. I would appreciate a vote. Under the sales division, we'd be humbled, and thank you for that in advance. Today, we're going to be talking about the dangers for companies in not training, the dangers for you as an individual not going to training, the challenges of not seeing training as an investment versus an expense. By definition, training is development in a specific system of an organization which emphasize on improvement of performance in individuals and groups. Training is an educational process which involves the sharpening of skills, concepts, developing attitudes, and gaining more knowledge to enhance the performance of teams, groups, associations. You know, there's many different aspects of training, many different ways training can be done. You know, training is the act of enhancing skills and behaviors. It's the process of bringing a person to a higher standard of proficiency. The process of being taught how to do something. Training is a learning process whereby people learn skills, concepts, attitudes, knowledge, and perform their job. You know, I found a quote in the 600s, not Archimedes, but Archelaus, a Greek philosopher. And this was really interesting to me. This is what he said. We don't rise to the level of our expectations. We fall to the level of our training. Think about that. We don't rise to the level of our expectations. We do fall to the level of our trainings. Now, some of the negative aspects for a lack of training in the workplace. The problem is that many organizations see training as an expense and not an investment. Untrained employees will inevitably lack the knowledge for companies resourced properly, which will lead to waste in a service industry. It'll lead to customer poor interaction. You know, you're going to lose clients and customers if you're not training your people. Because of this, employees, your company and your clients will all suffer. You know, it is worth it to make your employees happy. So how does training play into that? Just some statistics I'm going to be giving you. The benefits, praise, and training that successful companies give their employees are not out of the pure goodness of their heart. There's actual correlation between happy employees and a successful business. Let's talk about the upcoming workforce. I hear so much about younger people. And when you look at how companies are being groomed now and built now, there's such an influx of next generation. You may call them millennials, whatever you want to call them, but they are coming into the workplace. And let's talk about what they're looking for. The current and upcoming workforce believes in the value of training and the opportunity for advancement in a position. Because they are aware of the competitive world in the job force, they're looking for companies that provide training opportunities and satisfy their needs. A survey was done by PwC, and they asked millennials, which of the following characteristics make an organization compelling to work for? This is what they answered. Now, I've got a chart in front of me, so I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to actually read this chart because I don't want to be incorrect. I don't want to throw out a generality. There's different categories. The sector in which the organization operates was only 6%. Okay, diversity, equal opportunity was only 8%. The employee brand, 10%. Reputation as an employer of the best and brightest people, 15%. Corporate values that match your own, 15%. Good reputation for ethical practice, 15%. International opportunities, 20%. Flexibility working arrangements, 21%. Good benefits package, 31%. Now here's what might be shocking. The top three, I'm going to start the top three. 52% said, listen, opportunities for career advancement. The second one was, at 44%, competitive compensation. And number three, 35%, excellent training development programs. So when you look at the ability to advance in the company and you look at excellent training opportunities, that's 87% of why people want to work for you and stay with you. And so when we look at training, is it an expense or is it an investment? I think we have to rethink how we shape, because most companies don't. Conversely, untrained and unhappy employees who feel that they are being underutilized are more apt to become frustrated with their job and less loyal to their company, meaning there's a good chance they're going to leave if you don't meet their standards. Management often assumes that providing training will lead to employees moving on to other companies. But this simply isn't true. With proper training, employees feel they are valued and they're happier, they're more loyal. You know, Zig Ziglar used to say, you got a choice. You can not train the people you have and keep the ones that are unskilled, or you can train them, and there is a chance they might leave you. But if they stay with you, look at the higher quality of the training. And so, you know, there's always that thing. Should we train them? They might leave. Well, if you don't train them, they might stay, and look what you have. An IBM study revealed that employees who feel they cannot develop in their company and fulfill their career goals are 12 times more likely to leave. Additionally, training helps in more short-term way by helping employees to be more efficient and be better interacting with your clients. A trained employee can answer questions without having to go to the manager all the time, without having to wait to give an answer. If they're trained, they can perform better. Now, let me talk to you about what it costs when we lose that person. Training current clients is important. Training and retaining employees might be more important because it's actually cheaper to retain than it is to hire. Lack of training leads to employees who feel unappreciated in their jobs and general sense their job does not have the full meaning of why we hired them. At this point, the employees will begin to look for other opportunities and leave. Now listen to this. Hiring someone can cost up to 30% of the job's salary in which you pay. So let's say you're paying somebody $40,000 a year. $40,000 a year, and you have to replace them. That's going to cost you $12,000. Not to mention the time. Not to mention the possibility of the relationships they had with your clients. Training an existing employee might be hundreds of dollars per person. If you bring someone in, or if you do an internal training, it'll cost you a pittance compared to the money you're going to be spending to replace that person. And so this is a two-part podcast. I'm going to be dealing with the challenges and the dangers of not investing in training. But in the next episode, episode 68, we're going to talk about the positives of training and how to develop what you would invest in, whether it's internal or external training. Here are some of the negatives about not training. Just some of the things you have to be aware of, folks. Number one, as we just spoke, there's going to be high turnover. Companies who don't train are constantly replacing. And we discussed this in great detail. Do your own statistical data test. Do your own research on what it costs a company to replace a quality person. And this is a Joeism, but, the good ones are the ones who leave because they got the options, and then you're stuck with the bad ones. And so it's important. Number two, by training, your new employees will not be learning from your bad apples. All right? Some of the people that you have in place have poor skills, attitudes, and habits. And let me tell you, I've got Chet Holmes wrote a book, The Ultimate Sales Machine. I recommend you read it. Chet was probably one of the best sales strategists in the country. And he passed away about 12 years ago at a young age. But he says the worst training that can be done in your company. Now listen, he calls it the tribal method of training. I'm looking at his book right now. And he says whenever you bring someone in and you want them to learn from the person in the next cubicle, you want them to learn from the person next to them. That is, he says, this is the worst kind of training that you can possibly do. Number one, what if that person's having a bad day? Number two, what if they have bad habits? Number three, what if they're more talent-based and not process-based? They do it from the seat of their pants. They shoot from the hip. That is unduplicatable. That's not part of a process. And so that's a dangerous methodology. Number three, very poor customer and client retention service. Without training on how to talk to your people, how to work with them, how to solve problems, you're going to have high client turnover. Number four, this can damage your brand. If you were to sit down and write down right now what you're spending in advertising, brand expansion, just everything it is to grow your brand, and an untrained employee not knowing how to say something, how to communicate correctly, what to say, what they can't say, how to deliver the message, how to close the deal, how to book an appointment, all of the things. You're going to destroy your brand. You realize that your employees touch your clients more than you do. Are they growing or destroying your brand? Number 5, slower ramp-up time. If you're not training, then these people are learning slowly and takes more time to do what you're doing and take it to market. Number 6, lack of knowledge for your process and best practices. You know, when I go into companies that are doing training internally, bringing outside people, you know, it's amazing to me how things are so much quicker locking into their process. I was with a company the other day, and I spoke in the morning, and then they had one of their managers speak. And his whole message was a process that has to be something anyone in the company can come in as a new hire, plug into your process, plug into your set of skills, and be able to move forward. Number 7, lack of skill development. People are not just born with skills. They have to learn them. And skill-based training is different than strategy training, is different than motivational, is different than leadership. When it comes to skills, okay, skills have to be taught. I was a football coach for 20 years, and it was always amazing to me that you didn't teach somebody something one time. I mean, at the end of his career, Peyton Manning had a coach, a skills coach. How many times have we seen great athletes that have hired a coach that's making sure their elbow is up when they throw the ball? And so these great athletes, these great business people deem it very necessary to stay sharp, to keep their skills up. We should see the same need for our people when the people that are doing the job. Number 8, lower productivity. An untrained team, an untrained person will not be productive. There'll be a lot of wasted time, which at the end of the day equals poor performance. You know, as we get into the next podcast on the benefits of training and how to determine training, understand this. The biggest challenge, sometimes people don't want to take people out of their work to train. And I'm going to prove to you in our next podcast it's anything but that. So if you will take out your phone and type in 55678, put in the message Sales Edge. You can go in there and it'll take you to a link. It'll take you to a splash page. Make sure Sales Edge is one word. That'll take you to a splash page which has some free download ebooks, links to our podcast. If this podcast is of value to you, can you like it? Can you share it? Can you write a content? But really share it. We're looking to grow and to reach more people. You know, we want you to have a voice in this. And so should you have any comments, good ones, bad ones, I'm always up for constructive criticism. I'm okay with that. You can call me at 407-947-2590 for a complimentary cup of Joe, and we'll talk. Or you can just send me an email at joe@piciandpici.com. You can say, don't use my name. You can say, do use my name. Okay? We are in process of resetting this whole thing and being able to start interviewing people. Don't forget, sometime in January, we will start launching our Heroes of Transition, where a couple times a month you're going to hear from a person who's in the hunt, taking their business, their career, their profession, their calling to another level. Certainly appreciate you coming in today, and look for our next podcast. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening. New episodes will air each Tuesday and Thursday, so make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and give us a 5-star review. The Sales Edge is sponsored by Pici and Pici Incorporated, a firm which provides training, consulting, and keynote presentations empowering corporations and individuals to attract and retain quality clients for higher revenues and growth. Make more money in sales. Speak with Joe in person by calling 407-947-2590 or visit www.piciandpici.com. Spelled PICIAND, PICI.com.